Hello, everyone. Welcome to our bi-monthly Yee Real Estate Network Zoom Club meeting. Welcome, everyone. And most of you are located in the San Francisco Bay Area. Some of you are located in Southern California. In fact, we have more Southern Californians on this Zoom than Northern Californians, which is surprisingly good. And again, my guest speaker is Mr. Richard Advani. Many of you already know him. He appeared on many of our podcasts for several years. Richard Advani is an investment loan agent. He's more than a loan agent. He's a loan advisor. He understands real estate investors' situations and goals and objectives and challenges. And he's such an important cog of a team of financial professionals that investors need to rely upon. Richard, so thank you so much, Richard, for attending my live Zoom. I invited you just about 24 hours ago, and surprisingly, given your busy schedule, you say yes. So I'm happy to have you come on. There's so much to cover. Tonight's topic is very, very important. I would call this a breaking news. I would call this game changer, if you will. If I can come up with any other superlatives, I will throughout this presentation. So, wow, this is I tell you, I mean, I'm proud to have my network to be around for so long. I try to provide such great content because the housing market is changes on a daily basis. So you need to keep up. All right, whether you are a newbie, whether you're an experienced investor, it behooves you to continue to keep up with the changing situation going on in the housing market and how it affects you as a real estate investor. So tonight is no exception. So without further ado, let me share my screen, and we're gonna spend the next 20 to 30 minutes to complete this PowerPoint presentation. Then after this presentation by myself and Richard, then we will go through a Q&A, question and answer. So right now it's 5:07 p.m. Pacific time. We should be concluding around 6 p.m., maybe slightly longer than 6 p.m. Hopefully, Richard, you'll be able to attend the whole time because Richard, he always has some major things going on every single second of his work day because he's helping so many people, so many investors to get financing in this very, very challenging period. So thank you so much for your time, Richard. So let's make the best of our time. So today's topic is major issues. Fannie Mae game-changing lending guidelines just occurred like a few days ago. You know, I would say this is game-changing for the housing market, not just for real estate investors. What I mean by that, believe it or not, you know, myself and Richard, we are so far, we get ahead of the game. Any breaking news, we are the first one to report it. And right now, as of today, what's today's date? 10 October 2023, most of the YouTubers, most of the real estate YouTubers, most of the mainstream media, most in the real estate investing arena, they still have no clue that this new lending program has just been implemented by Fannie Mae lending guidelines with its 5% down payment situation. Do you agree, Richard Advani? Do you agree with what I just said?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason why I jumped, obviously, at the opportunity to do this with you on such short notice, because I mean, it's if you look at what it took even a primary home buyer to buy a 3 to 4 unit on Monday of last week, it took 25% down, which, you know, what first-time home buyers have 25% down on a multi-unit? Not many, right? It was just investors that were coming in and buying these properties. Now at 5%, you know, that's a 20% reduction on the minimum. So yeah, I mean, this is headline news, and this is, you know, a game changer, you know, and not only for investors we have on your call, and I urge anyone that listens to this, you know, think of someone, you know, whether it's a child or a family member's kid that are at that buying age or have been trying to buy for the last 2 years and they're priced out or rates are too high, whatever it may be, and bring this up to them, show them this video, because it's a huge opportunity to build, as Seewing says on the title, right, to become a multimillionaire utilizing this primary home financing. And we'll talk a little more on that strategy as we go into this.
Exactly, Richard. Again, so for the 1,100 members of my organization, among those members, but the few of you have the initiative to attend this Zoom. Oh, by the way, I'm recording this video. So you guys, I really admire you guys to prioritize your time to attend this Zoom event. And as for the rest, I don't care, okay? Those lazy folks out there, those idiots out there, they lost hope. The rest of the so-called investors out there, they lost hope. They are hiding their head in the sand, okay? They let all this mass hysteria, negative headlines, programming, doom and gloom situation, that are populated by those crash bros out there, those doom and gloomers, crash porn videos that they scare a whole heck of a lot of people away, which is a very, very sad, which is pathetic, totally pathetic for the majority of the so-called people just causing so many potential investors to stay on the sidelines because of massively misleading, unethical, inaccurate information about the housing market and real estate investing, which is pathetic and sad. Okay, it just should be there should be a malpractice against all those YouTubers, all those crash bros out there that are causing so many investors to stay on the sidelines. All right, so that's my rant. That is my rant. Okay, it's not over. Anyway, so my title is how to become a. I'm not telling you how. I'm not. This title of this video is not how to become a millionaire with serial house hacking with 5% down, 2 to 4 units. It's how to become a multi. Hear my word, multi, M-U-L-T-I, millionaire. Okay, you think this is unrealistic? You think I'm BSing you? No, this is real. Of course, it'll take time. It'll take 10 to 15 to 20 years to achieve the so-called how to become a multi-realistic millionaire with serial house hacking. Okay. Anyway, so the next few slides, Richard, I know this slide comes straight out of the underwriting book by Fannie Mae lending guideline. Richard, if you can see this chart, can you spend like 2 minutes to go over prior to the game-changing loan program that was just been implemented? Go to the before these changes and what now currently go on. Can you see well? If not, I can do the presentation for the next 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, no, I can see it well, and you know what this is obviously is the Fannie Mae kind of cheat sheet showing their loan to value requirements for principal home purchases and refis. And you know what's important to note is the 1 and 2 unit, as you can see, at 97% loan to value, meaning 3% down for a 1 unit single family home, 5% down for a 2 unit, and 5% for a 3 to 4 unit. Prior to this change, the 2 and the 3 to 4 units, the 2 units required 15% down, and the 3 to 4 unit properties required 25% down. So, obviously the 5% that they're requiring now is a huge difference from that. And it really opens up purchasing a multi-unit to a first-time home buyer, right? Before it sounded great, first-time home buyer buying one, but once again, coming up with 15 or 25% down wasn't realistic for most first-time home buyers.
Yep, absolutely. Let me backtrack just a little bit. Of my membership, my network, like I said, consists of 1,100 members. Do you know, I think 30% of my members, most of them in California, do not own a primary home in California, but many of them have purchased rental properties through our network over the years. And a lot of you are attending right now are in that category. So I'm really appreciative of that. By the way, I believe, Richard, you can chime in on it. The reason why this loan program was initiated 2 days ago by Fannie Mae, I believe Fannie Mae company, the organization, uh, wanted to come up with some ways to create home affordability. They want to open up. They want to help the housing market. But so by opening up the primary homeowners, owner-occupied buyers out there have the ability to buy multi-unit, 2 to 4 units. They open up a good can of worms, So this loan program, I believe, when the mainstream media gonna get a hold of it in the next few days, next few weeks, next few months, I expect to see high competition. A lot of people, a lot of you folks out there, primary homeowners that want to buy 2 to 4 units, not just in California, but any of the 56. This is a federal loan program. Okay, if you qualify, there's a whole bunch of people going to go qualify, and there are not that many 2 to 4 units out there in the housing market throughout the country, right? So we expect to see a lot of competition, a lot of feeding frenzy. So if you're serious out there, if you qualify, and Richie gonna go over the underwriting guideline, qualification guideline, what have you, you need to potentially pull the trigger. If you do not qualify currently, if you try to save up some more down payment for the next 3 to 5 months, guess what? You need to find some way. If you do not have enough cash down payment for the 5% down, and you need to find some way to come up with some money. Okay, you got to. This is an urgency, because this loan program is going to be very, very lucrative, very desirable, and people going to do this. I'm telling you, people from all 50 states. You know, my members live in California. I have other members who live in out of state. Some of my members of my organization, they live in Texas, they live in Florida, or they live in the Midwest. Guess what? The home prices, the 2 to 4 units in other part of the country, they're very affordable. You see what I'm saying? We're talking about $200,000 duplex, $300,000 triplex, $400,000, $500,000 fourplex in many parts of the U.S. So you're competing against a whole bunch of people. So you need to be focused. You need to prioritize. You need to be motivated. You need to commit to this. You got to get it done, because if you lose, you will lose. If you procrastinate, and then 3 to 5 years from now, if you don't do this, you're going to regret. This is one of your life's biggest financial regrets. So with that said, are we done with this slide? You want to go in the next slide, Richard?
Yeah, I think we're done with this one.
All right. Now, here's the maximum loan limit, 1.4 million. There's no high balance loan limits. Even though California is a high cost area, this loan limits per this guideline of Fannie Mae is across the U.S., all 50 states. So now this is the maximum loan limit based on 2 unit, 3 unit, and 4 unit. If you put 5% down payment because of the additional down payment money, this is the real maximum. Okay, almost 1 million for 2 units, almost 1.2 million for triplex, almost 1.4 million. I couldn't put that on a slideshow. I believe almost 1.4 million for a fourplex. That's max, regardless of where are you located. But you have to be a primary homeowner. You have to occupy. You have to get this loan as a primary owner occupied buyer. You have to live in one of the units. You have to show the lender that this is your primary home. Okay, these 2 to 4 units. So Richard will go over the specific guidelines momentarily. So Richard, go over this slideshow and a couple of more slideshows after this. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as you kind of hit the nail on the head there, they've increased the loan amounts as well that people can qualify for, especially for our California people, to make things actually attainable, right? They've decreased the down payment. They've increased the max purchase price. So that allows you on a 4-unit to go all the way up to almost a $1.4 million loan amount, which really opens up a huge amount of potential, properties that can be available. Now, one thing to note firstly is, you do need to, of course, purchase a property that you are, as Seewing that mentioned, that you do plan on living in, for at least a year, one of the units. It needs to be feasible and plausible that, the property is within a reasonable distance of where you work, right? A lot of us do work remotely. If you are going to, purchase a property out of state and move into that unit, you need to have a very compelling, obviously, background, and you need to be able to prove that that is your true intent. But it is really a cool stepping stone as well, right? If you don't own a primary home yet, and I may be getting ahead of it here, but that's where the house hacking comes in, right? You utilize primary home financing at a low rate. You are able to purchase a multi-unit, and it makes it very easy a year and a half, 2 years later, whatever the time period is, to then once again utilize primary home financing to buy a different property, right? Maybe a small single family home. And that's something that would make sense, obviously, to an underwriter, right? You're moving from a quadplex, now wanting to move to a small home and then a slightly larger home and so forth. And the whole time, once again, you're utilizing, relatively low down payments and better interest rates for these primary home loans. Now, one thing, of course, to note is if you employ this strategy, you are going to be, high on the leverage side, right? So employ the strategy responsibly. But it's a huge way that tons of investors have started acquiring and building a rental portfolio, right? From departure primary homes that they purchased to live in, that they lived in, and now, they moved on to the next property, something nicer, something bigger, something closer to work and a better school district and so forth.
Richard, I call this serial house hacking. I mean, we can take, you know what? Unbeknownst to a lot of you, do you know I started house hacking 30 years ago? I could be called the father of house hacking. You know how many houses I've house hacked in the past 30 years of my career? 4. I've house hacked 4 primary homes in the San Francisco Bay Area all those years. And I'm still house hacking to this day on top of other rental properties. So, and then, I could very well use this program as well to continue when you say house hack, right, you, again, you got to do it right. You got to do it legally, like Richard said. But, hey, you live in one unit, rent out the other 1, 2, or 3 units, let your other renters pay off 50 to 75% of your mortgages. And how cool is that? Then after 1 year, if you want to, you can leave, you can move and rent out the remaining unit, and you can achieve cash flow and invest your multi-units over time to achieve your financial freedom. You can do house hacking consistently, serial house hacking, and eventually when you buy 6, 7, or 8 of these, you can not only become a real estate millionaire, you can become real estate multi-millionaire. And I'm not kidding. My title for this webinar, there's no apology needed, because there's no limit. There's no limit as to how much you can achieve in your financial freedom. It's going to take time. It's not going to be easy. You have to go through the grind. It's a slow process. It's not an overnight success kind of deal. But like I said, anyway. So let's go with the next slide. A lot of things to cover. Now this slide, Richard will go over this, but briefly, I know this lending guideline, Richard, no loan agents in the country right now fully understand this new lending guidelines. Just came out a few days ago, and Richard is no exception. We can learn more about it. Richard will learn more about it, and we can, we could very well do some more webinars about this lending program in the foreseeable future. But this slide talk about if you're self-employed, if you have a Schedule C sole proprietor, there's a possibility that instead of if you have a Schedule C self-employed, oftentimes you don't report that much income because you want to have a lot of tax write-off. But normally to get the full doc underwriting for sole proprietorship Schedule C owner, you have to show 2 years of prior Schedule C sole proprietorship profit and loss rental income the past 24 months, which to qualify for the loan. But there's a possibility based on this current guideline book by Fannie Mae as a self-employed individual, all you need is potentially only 1 year of tax documentation or your self-employed profit and loss Schedule C income. So they have lowered the requirements. This is not 100% official yet. I'm sure Richard going to do some more research in a not too distant future. So having said that, I believe the lending guideline could be lower in other areas of this loan program, but so just remain to be seen. We are beginning to see, the beginning effect of this loan program. Richard, do you have anything to add about this lending program? Anything as of right now?
Yeah, firstly on the rental income side, right? Obviously, we haven't reviewed any major changes they made yet. It's probably more just updates to how and where rental income can be applied. Typically, if you don't have a housing expense now or don't own rental properties now, you can still use rental income from those other units. However, typically you're limited to using them up to the extent of offsetting the mortgage, right? You can't use any positive generated, if it's still generated a positive, to help you qualify. But as you guys can see, they've kind of revamped everything once again to make it easier to qualify, make it more accessible. That way, primary home buyers can start taking advantage of these types of properties. And, I think it's definitely going to see an increase in a push to the value of 2 to 4 units across the country, just because, the potential buyer pool now is, going to be 3 to 5x at least what it was for those types of properties, right? Before it was just real estate investors having the ability to buy them. Unless you utilized an FHA loan, which still was a possibility to buy a 3 to 4 unit with a low down payment. However, those FHA loans, over the years have become very, very expensive in terms of upfront fees. They've also become very, very expensive in terms of, monthly mortgage insurance. So it's still made it less affordable than what this program is going to do. And then, of course, one more thing to keep in mind that, these aren't rental properties. So this program typically will allow gift funds. I know, Seewing, you touched on earlier, coming up with down payment funds. This does allow gift funds, right? So mother, brother, sister, family member, could be an employer, does have the ability to give gift funds to help people kind of make it into this program and have the ability to access it.
Very, very good point. By the way, the FHA home buyers and VA 0% down home buyers have the for the longest time you can buy 2 to 4 units, but there are some limitations, like Richard said, associated with the FHA to buying 3 to 4 units, especially in California, in a high cost area. That rule was a sustainability rule. I'm not going to go over that much, but it's very, very hard with an FHA 3.5% down payment currently, as it still exists right now, for you to buy 3-plex or 4-plex in California, because the purchase price is so high and the rental and the rents are so low based on the substantiality status. Very, very hard to qualify. But now with this new 5% down payment program, you will not have such issues. All right. So Richard, now I'm going to ask you do a little bit of calculation on your head. Hopefully you can do it. I'm using this 4-plex. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be anywhere in the country. This is just a hypothetical. So someone want to buy a $1 million 4-plex, doesn't matter what location, even though it says right here, San Antonio, Texas. This is a real San Antonio, Texas property, but this is just a sample, theoretical. So the monthly rent is $2,000 per door. Since you occupy one of the door, so $2,000 multiplied by $2,000 per door times 3 doors is $6,000 monthly gross income. and then you're paying whatever today's rate is, 7.5%, whatever. And then, so Richard, now that you see this number, can you calculate on your head? You need a calculator to determine, based on the how can somebody qualify for this? What would be the income needed to qualify to use this 5% down program, giving the debt to income ratio, let's say 45%, maybe even 50%. So what's a typical, from a high level, don't spend too much time on it, on your head calculation. What's the W-2 salary, not W-2 salary, annual salary for a buyer to qualify to buy this home, 5% down payment, giving the mortgage payment already $6,600, okay, giving that the you offset $6,600 is $6,600 multiplied by 75% rent, right? To calculate the DTI and whatever. I'll give you 30 seconds. Kind of Richard is.
Yeah, so basically the total overhead for the payment property, including taxes and insurance, is probably going to be in that $8,500 to $8,700 a month range, which would basically mean that primary home buyer, firstly, is going to walk into this property, paying what, $2,500 out of pocket in $1 million property, which is huge, right? Because once again, typically to buy $1 million property, you're talking about spending $8,000 plus a month these days with where property prices are. The way that we would look at it qualifying wise, and this is the beautiful thing I know that you wanted to get to, is we're going to take 75% of the gross rents, so that gives us about $4,500 a month that we can use to offset the liability on the new purchase. And at a monthly payment of let's say roughly $8,200 a month for the property, that means the buyer's only going to be qualifying on under $3,000 a month, right? The payment hit to their debt to income ratio. So assuming someone really had no other major debt, no credit cards, no car loans, no student loans, and they were going, or even if they had minimal ones, right? Someone making as little as, probably $7,000 a month, so $85,000 a year, can pull something like this off, right? And should have enough income to purchase $1 million triplex in this situation, which typically to purchase this property, right, assuming this was just a single family home and you didn't have rental income to offset it, right, you would need to make probably $250,000 to $260,000 a year, right? And we're talking about only needing to make $85,000, $90,000 a year to accomplish it. That's huge, right? Think of how many people out there, how many millennials out there make $100,000, $150,000 a year, and they're just like, well, I can't afford to buy anything, right? So instead, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines and, lease a Lamborghini and rent an apartment. I'm joking, but you actually see that in Los Angeles quite a bit down here in Southern California, right? People have car payments as high as their apartment payments. But part of it too is, I don't condone or believe in that, but they can't afford to buy a house, right? And they kind of feel locked into and helpless in the situation. And if you could find a house, and if you did have the down payment, once again, you need to make $250,000 to $300,000. Whereas now they can return those Ferrari leases because they can go out and buy $1 million multi-unit with an income of $100,000 or under.
This is amazing, isn't it? This is truly amazing. So for those of you who are attending, go ask hopefully your wealthy parents can gift you some money, gift you like 30, 40 grand, okay? Gifting, that's part of the down payment for the 5% down payment. And you can have yourself a fourplex at $1 million somewhere in California. I mean, I know it could be anywhere in the country, but is it amazing? Instead of, if you buy things, what Rich is saying is amazing, powerful, because if you was a primary home buyer using a regular conventional loan to buy a primary home, $1 million anywhere in the country, especially in California, like Richard said, you have to make $250,000 salary to qualify to pay an $8,000 mortgage. Now you're buying a fourplex with 3 of the renters are paying a large portion of your mortgage, and now all you need is about $80,000 per year to qualify to buy this. This is This is like a winning the real estate lottery. Am I right or am I wrong? Am I exaggerating? Am I not exaggerating? This is a epic breaking news. Okay, I don't know how else to say this. All right. Okay, you think I'm BSing you? You think I'm being overhyping this? No, this is real. This is reality. All right. So anyway, okay. I took the liberty of providing you three real properties. A couple of them in Southern California, since I know many of you live in Southern California. Some of these come from Northern California. By the way, I'm a real estate broker licensed in California. I could be your buyer's agent. Okay, so yes, I would love to represent you guys. And of course, Richard can do the loans for you guys as well, obviously. So your team of financial people is right here, Richard and I, right before your eyes. Am I right, Richard?
Absolutely. Yep, we're here to help.
Yep, that's right. Look at this property. I took the liberty of LoopNet, which I'm sure you. LoopNet is I look at LoopNet every week. Is commercial listings, real time listings on this website that show properties all over the country, all 50 states. So LoopNet, LoopNet.com, LoopNet.com. You can click California. If you live in California, you will see the real listings of all the multi-units, 2 unit to 100 units, whatever, and everything else in between. So I took liberty of getting the best type of property you can qualify for this loan program based on the loan limit. So as of yesterday, this is a fourplex located in Alameda, right next to Oakland. Very good cap rate, 1.5 million. And this property, is pretty darn good. It's kind of old, but and the numbers really make sense. 5.19% cap rate, so that means it's a very, very potentially it's a C plus, B minus asset class, in my opinion. So this one property you can qualify, and second property is a duplex in San Jose for a little bit less than $1 million. Okay. You can add on the ADU. There's a value add. You can potentially add an ADU, additional dwelling unit, on this property above and beyond the duplex that you're going to qualify for. So very good property in very good location here in San Jose. And you look at the rent is, I think, my slideshow is not showing. I think the per unit rent is like 3,500. No, maybe not. 3,000. Anyway, the cap rate is quite good, quite good. Anyway, okay, then LA, this is a triplex located in Los Angeles. Look at this cap rate, 6.78% cap rate. So let me see what else. Yeah, so it's a cash cow and whatever, and everything has been upgraded, rehab, very good cash flow, believe it or not. Okay. I think that's it. That's the situation. So right now, anyway, let me see what else I have to say on this. Oh yeah, there's no PMI required. It's a straight 5% down payment. Of course, Richard. In addition, of course, you have to come up with some closing costs. You need like 6%, 6 months of PITI as a reserve requirement. Am I right, Richard? Can you go over the underwriting requirement? In addition to 5%, what else do you need to underwrite a loan approval for this?
Well, I mean, it's no different than any other conventional full documentation loan. So, we are going to have to verify debt to income ratio and things like that. Typically, first-time homebuyers will negotiate a seller credit to help cover any costs above the down payment. So, make sure you do that. That way, you're coming in with just that 5% down. But qualifications are pretty straightforward. If you're self-employed, we're going to analyze a couple years of tax returns. If you're W-2'd, obviously that makes it extremely easy. And once again, because of the fact that we can add this rental income, it makes it a lot easier to qualify for, these types of properties and these types of price ranges, which, typically may seem out of reach for people. With this program, with the ability to use rental income, it really kind of brings it within reach. And you know, once again, if you don't, I mean, what's amazing is the cap rates that you're even showing here, right? So, you know, once again, if you're out there and you don't own a primary home, I don't know how long this program is going to be around, or rather, you know, how long they're going to keep the down payments lower at this 5% versus where they were. But you know, I can tell you historically, it's been that 25% down for a 3 to 4 unit, 15% down for that 2 to 3 unit. So, or excuse me, a 2 unit. So take advantage of it. You know, definitely take advantage of it because it is a very unique buying opportunity. And once again, the door to be able to go and purchase some real estate where you live, and you know, being able to afford it and being able to qualify for it, it hasn't been as easy as it's never been as easy as it is now.
Absolutely. For those of you who was lucky enough to be working, have the ability to work remotely. So who's to say you have to be in your location? Who's to say you have to buy these kind of properties in your area? You could move somewhere else. You could move somewhere else in California. You could move out of state and to buy a lower price 2 to 4 units. So you know, everybody's situation is different. So yeah. Anything else? Of course, you need a FICO score, you know, fairly high. The higher, the better. 720 FICO score and good credit rating and 2 years of job documentation, the whole 9 yards. Richard, do you Richard is missing all of a sudden. Anyway, okay, he might be. So can everybody hear me still?
We can hear you, but I think it looks like he dropped off.
Yeah, don't worry, he'll come back on. So, yeah, any kind of questions for you guys? Right now it's 5:41. We got around 20 minutes left. Did you hear something that you did not expect to hear? Was it something new to you? I mean, are you excited? Are you inspired by this?
I have a question. So the reason it's done, because I'm always looking for the motivation, is to jumpstart home buying again because we're in a quote recession.
Yeah. As we all know, because we are right now, there's a historic low inventory, right? Low supply because most homeowners are not selling because they're sitting at a historical low mortgage rate of under 4%. They're not going to sell the property, get rid of their low mortgage to buy a new house, to move up to buy a new house at paying 8% mortgage rate, right? So we expect to see historic low inventory, in my opinion, for many years to come. So Fannie Mae, as a quasi-governmental agency, they've been thinking about this. They say, how can we increase home affordability? How can we open up opportunities for more primary home buyers to enter the real estate market and to achieve the American dream? And this loan program is a starting point, you know, it's a small step towards helping the people who otherwise were not able to buy a primary home. And that's why this loan program exists the way it is. And when I saw this loan program a few days ago, I asked myself, is this too good to be true? Is this real? Upon further research, it is real. Upon consulting Richard Advani and other people that I know in my realistic inner circle, yeah, this is absolutely real. This is a game changer, and one can become a serial house hacker and do this multiple times in the next 10 to 15 years. Imagine, you know, they could have 2 to 4 units every 1 to 2 years. They can buy another one, assuming, you know, they qualify, they have the additional down payment, whatever. At the end of 10 years, when they buy, you know, 5, 6, or 7 duplex, triplex, and fourplex, you know how many doors, you know how many quote unquote doors of rental units they can achieve passive income, so you can retire within 10 to 15 years using this strategy. This is absolutely mind-boggling. I'm so excited about it. So, yeah. Yes.
I was wondering. Yeah, I'm wondering. In order for this to work, so it has to be your primary residence, but do you have to be a first-time home buyer?
Great question. No, you can own multiple rental properties as long as you qualify for this loan. As long as you can prove that you're going to live in this one of the units at least for 1 year. You don't have to be in fact, you do not need to be a first-time home buyers for the VA loan that I qualify for because I'm a military veteran, 0% down. I have done multiple VA loans, primary home loans, multiple times in my lifetime. You do not need to be a first-time home buyers to buy FHA, 3.5% down payment. You do not need to become a first-time home buyer for VA loans, and you do not need to become a first-time home buyers for this 5% down amazing program. Great question.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. It is mind-boggling to me.
I have to hop off because I have to go pick up kids from practice. So
No problem.
thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to record this video. I'm recording this video. Thank you. Thank you, Samantha. All right. Anybody else have any
So
questions?
I want to go back to two. So if you buy it, like you buy a triplex or a quad, you have to own one. You have to live in one because it's like owner occupied.
Right.
But is it after 1 year then you could move out and then rent that one? And then you have all four rented out?
That's right. That's right. Serial house hacking. And then normally when you are house hacking on a VA loan or an FHA loan, yes, the minimal residency requirement is 1 year.
Right.
But in order for you to qualify to buy another 2 to 4 unit on an FHA loan, 3.5% down, or a VA loan, 0% down, you have to refinance out of the VA loan. You have to refinance out of the FHA loans in order to qualify to buy another 2 to 4 units, given the old rule. But this new rule, with this 5% down Fannie Mae conforming loan lending guidelines, you do not need to refinance out of this loan after you move out at a minimum of 1 year. You can don't quote me because the lending guideline is still, it's still not official because these just came about a couple of days ago. But you have to believe, since this is a regular conventional loan 5% down, when you after 1 year of residency requirement and you leave, I believe you can buy another, as long as this loan program still exists.
Sure, right.
You can buy another one with 5% down, do the same thing all over again, 2 to 4 units, whatever.
That's
keep on doing it as long as you qualify.
Right. Yeah, because I'm always thinking 2 steps ahead. So yeah, if you buy like a triplex or a quad, you live in one for a year, rent out the other 3, you can move out. Now 4 units are bringing in cash flow. And then you could go live somewhere else. Yeah.
This is an amazing way to build wealth, right? Long-term wealth.
Makes a lot of sense.
Otherwise, normally, like Richard Advani said, to buy 2 to 4 units as a traditional real estate investor, you need 25% down payment.
That's amazing.
And now all you need is 5% down payment, and part or all of your down payment, per Richard Advani's comment, can be gifted. It's a gift. It can be gifted by family members, parents, can be gifted by anyone. I think, don't quote me, I'm not a loan agent, but that's my thing. So, and also, if you have, I have to be careful how I say it. Come up with some down payment in any way possible. One high risk way is you can liquidate some of your IRAs, pay taxes on it, pay penalty on it, and use down payment to buy.
Use that money.
I mean, crunch the numbers.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
If you have some extra IRA somewhere sitting in some of your brokerage account, 20, 30, 40 grand, consult your tax advisor. Most of the time, I wouldn't recommend. Again, by the way, I'm not a licensed tax advisor. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I'm not a licensed attorney. But this is just an educational forum. But who's to say you should not liquidate some of your IRAs left over, convert it into cash, pay the 10% early withdrawal penalty, pay the ordinary taxation at 15, 20%, whatever, take a 30% hit on the early withdrawal of your IRAs, convert it into cash, use that cash as a source of the 5% down payment. Wham! You got a 3 to 4 units, assuming you qualify with your W-2 salary, with your credit score, you know, all those kind of things. But you know, again, I'm a high risk taker, but one could really do that because the taxes paid can be morphed and offset by the equity buildup of a 2 to 4 unit with the cash flow you're getting over time and appreciation and the tax benefit, you know, the whole 9 yards. That can offset the your tax advisor may not agree with this strategy.
Right. Yeah.
There's one out there.
Right. I understand. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not that much. Like a duplex, a 500K duplex, 5% down is only 25 grand plus closing costs. You know, $5,000, 30 grand, $30,000. All you need is $30,000, 5% down to buy a duplex for 500K. Is there a 500K duplex somewhere in California? Of course, yes. May not be in LA, may not be in Orange County, may not be in San Francisco. It could be in the Inland Empire somewhere like San Francisco or Riverside County or the high desert area, Victorville, Lancaster. There's some 500K duplex. There are some 750K triplex. There are some $1 million fourplex maybe in those high desert Inland Empire. Or you're willing to move 1 hour away from your job?
Right.
You might want to. You might be motivated to do that, right? You know, take that.
That's almost worth moving out of state for a year.
Absolutely.
Property and come back.
I've done it. I've done that. I'm a digital nomad. I have done a number of house hacking in my lifetime. So yeah. Jennifer, you have any questions? Taking some serious notes. All right. I think we are at the top of the hour, 10 more minutes left. So, any other questions? You know, if not, we might be concluding this amazing, thought-provoking.
It was great information. I mean, it's just. I mean, if anybody's looking to get into property, it's now is the time. I'll say that.
That's right.
Don't wait anymore. Now is the time. Yeah.
Yep. This program is going to be very competitive. More and more people like you guys gonna get a hold of this strategy, and they will pull the trigger. People from all over the country, all 50 states, once they hear about it, we are the first one to hear this. Okay. I think
good information. It's great information. Yeah, man, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's a really good deal. This is good. Thank you, Seewing.
Yeah, my pleasure, Julie and Jennifer. Thank you for. If you have no other questions, thank you for attending. Appreciate that. This webinar will be recorded. I will edit the video. Take me a couple of weeks to do so. But thank you for attending, and good luck to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank
have a nice day. Good evening.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.